me a favor. As long as I ain't got any head, for real. And we think about those young people as the deviant ones, right? But I actually think about those young people as making very informed decisions, right? So this thing around now, how do we now start to rethink those spaces? And then, thank you again, Sister Love, for actually challenging us to queer our understandings of this, right? We don't read Rod Ferguson enough, right? So Rod Ferguson talks about, we just joined the faculty of UIC, he says, the space of blackness has always been a queered space, right? And because of that queering, we have created these fugitive spaces to claim our humanity, right? So when we're talking about young folks and what this thing is, and again, what is that moment when we freeze up? Because another thing that we can do, especially when we're talking about engaging young people, we can do this thing where we freeze up and we don't talk about those moments where we have real questions of what it is that we're doing, right? So now when we have those questions, how do we move from that, right? I had a student that was kidnapped. I didn't know what to do. And she showed up in class 2 weeks later. Of course, in our ancestral wisdom, my mom said, child, did you hug her and tell her that you love her? Right? So this thing around how do we now begin to understand those spaces and really embrace us not knowing, right? Because if some of our best teachers embrace the idea that they do not know. Now the challenge is, what will we find together collectively, right? So you all have demonstrated this space around what we find collectively, and at the same time, in that collective process, pedagogy process. So now y'all got a definition, right? This thing around who is engaged in that, and in that process, how do those mistakes push us forward? I'll end with an African proverb. To trip is not to fall, but to move forward faster. Right? So this thing around how we do this and how we embrace this. Thank y'all so much for sharing your work today. We got time to entertain.